Bricklin SV1. How Canada's failed supercar refused to be forgotten. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a secret meeting in a government office in Fredericton, New Brunswick. 1973. A charismatic American entrepreneur named Malcolm Bricklin is pitching a dream so bold it seems impossible. Canada will build its own supercar. Not just any car. A safety supercar. A vehicle so revolutionary it will make Ferrari and Lamborghini look reckless. The government officials lean in. The fate of millions in taxpayer dollars hangs in the balance. What happened next would become one of the most dramatic, heartbreaking, and ultimately inspiring automotive stories in Canadian history. And it almost disappeared forever. This isn't just about a car that failed. This is about ambition colliding with reality, about political dreams meeting manufacturing nightmares, about 2,854 vehicles that refused to die. I want you to picture Malcolm Bricklin in 1974, a man with a vision bigger than his experience. He'd already imported Subarus to America. He dreamed of bringing the Yugo to North America. But this was different. This was creation, not importation. The Bricklin SV1. Safety Vehicle 1. Gull-wing doors like a DeLorean, but 5 years earlier. Vibrant safety colors. Red, white, green, orange. A fiberglass body on a steel space frame. Built not in Detroit or Torrin, but in St. John, New Brunswick. Now, hold that image. The dream, the promise. Because the reality was about to hit like a maritime winter storm. The New Brunswick government invested $4.5 million initially, then more, and more. They saw jobs. They saw prestige. They saw Canada taking its place on the world automotive stage. But they didn't see the manufacturing hell awaiting them. Let me tell you about the paint. Oh, the paint. The acrylic lacquer wouldn't adhere properly to the fiberglass bodies. Workers had to hand sand each car, sometimes for days. The factory floor became a chemical nightmare. Paint fumed so thick you could taste colors, and still, the finish bubbled, peeled, failed. Have you ever worked on a project where one problem created 10 more? Share your story in the comments. The gull-wing doors, spectacular to behold. A mechanical nightmare. The hydraulic system leaked. Doors wouldn't close properly in cold weather. They'd stick, jam. Trap drivers inside their own dreams. Picture this. You're showing off your new Canadian supercar. The gull-wing doors rise dramatically ... and won't come back down. Rain starts. You're sitting there, getting wet, in your $10,000 car. Quality control? What quality control? Cars shipped with mismatched interior panels. Uneven body gaps you could fit your finger through. Electrical systems that seemed possessed. One owner reported his Bricklin would randomly turn on the wipers and horn while driving at night. Can you imagine? Share if you've owned a car with a personality this dramatic. Comment below with your story. By late 1975, the truth was unavoidable. The New Brunswick government had poured over $23 million into the venture. That's about $125 million in today's money. They were losing thousands on every car sold. On September 25, 1975, the receiver was called in. The dream was over. 2,854 cars. That's all that was ever built. Most went to the United States. A few stayed in Canada. Many were driven into the ground. treated as curiosities, not classics. The factory in St. John fell silent. Jobs disappeared. The dream became a cautionary tale. But here's where the story gets interesting. Where most failed cars fade into obscurity, the Bricklin developed a cult following. Not despite its flaws, because of them. I want you to meet the collectors, the mechanics, the enthusiasts who refused to let this piece of Canadian history die. They formed clubs, shared parts knowledge, created websites before most people had email. They tracked down every surviving Bricklin. They documented every flaw, every fix, every modification. One owner in British Columbia spent 15 years restoring his SV1, sourced parts from 3 different wrecks, learned fiberglass repair just for this car. Another in Ontario maintains a registry of every known surviving Bricklin worldwide. Do you know someone who's this dedicated to preserving something others called a failure? Tell us about them in the comments. The modern restoration scene is something beautiful. Today's experts fix the original flaws. They improve the door mechanisms. They create better paint solutions. They upgrade the electrical systems. They're not just restoring cars, they're completing the vision Malcolm Bricklin couldn't. And the value? Oh, that's the delicious irony. A pristine Bricklin SV1 today can fetch over $50,000, sometimes more for rare colors or documented history. The failure became a collector's item. The embarrassment became a prize. But I need you to understand the real lesson here. This isn't a story about building a better car. It's about what happens after failure. The Bricklin SV1 should have disappeared. Should have been a footnote in automotive history books. Instead, it lives. Because people decided it was worth saving. Think about that in your own life. What have you written off as a failure that might just need more time, more care, more belief? Share something you once considered a failure that later revealed its value. The Bricklin teaches us about national ambition, about the gap between political vision and industrial reality. Canada wanted its own supercar. It tried. It failed spectacularly. But in that failure, it created something more valuable than success, a story of resilience. Today, when you see a Bricklin SV1 at a car show, those gull-wing doors rising, that bright safety orange gleaming, you're not just looking at a car. You're looking at a dream that refused to die, at a community that refused to forget. Now, I need to hear from you. Have you ever seen a Bricklin in person? Driven one? Known someone who owned one? Or maybe you have a different failed product that developed a cult following. Scroll down, leave a comment, start a conversation. When we pass them on, when we say, this mattered and here's why. End road, this has been Automotive Legacy Stories. Your memories keep these machines alive. Share yours below. Every story adds another chapter.